Hey guys, EBPMAN here. Now in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at a robot that's going to be pet friendly. We're talking about one that's going to be doing well with your little critters running around the house. And you know, we have 4 Pomeranians in our house and lots of hair. So having a robot that can handle them as well as the hair was really important to me. Not only can it handle pets, but it also is a sentry. It actually has a 1080p camera that has not only day vision but night vision, so it can keep an eye on what's going on around your home. Now the Ollie robot has great specs. We're talking about 120 minutes of battery life to be able to clean your entire home. 4,000 PA of suction, which is very highly rated. It also has a special pet hair tangle-free roller. Very, very important, because if you have one of these robots, you're constantly cleaning out all the dog hair or any kind of hair that may catch in the roller. No problem with this one. What sets this one apart, though, is the 1080p camera that allows you not only to see what's going on during the day, but it also allows you to see what's going on at night. Now, it does have the ability to identify people. It can see objects and pets, and it does a really good job when it comes to negotiating objects. And you're going to see it in our tests. Like, we have a torture maze that it has to go through, and it does a fine job avoiding gloves, weights, because we're working out in the house, and it does relatively well when it comes to cables, but there's some areas that it needs some work, right? So it does have a lot of flexibility. It also has zone cleaning capability, which means that you can mark certain areas of your home that you want to have clean. And then obviously it's Alexa and Google capable. Let's take a closer look at the robot. We'll see how it cleans, and we'll see if this is going to be your next robotic cleaner. As you can see here, the Ollie is a very, very compact unit. So you have the charging base right there, the cable that goes to the power supply, and then some basic things that you'll find. This robot does have an onboard 1080p camera that's located right here in the front. We'll take a closer look at it. You do have a real nice, I would say, brush kind of metal finish at the top. And as you lift this area here, what you'll find is you have the dustbin. This is where you have access to be able to remove it. And you have some controls here that are going to give you the ability to do the pairing, to do the updates and everything that you would have to go through. But for the most part, once you have it installed and paired to your Wi-Fi and to your phone, you're not going to really need to lift this unless you're going to be removing some debris. Now, while there's several features that set the Ollie apart from other robots, one of the things that I'll highlight, and you guys all know, we have 4 Pomeranians. Yeah, 4. 1 boy, 3 girls, and they leave hair. So they are shedding dogs, so they do shed. Now, the cool thing about this is that the brush has a tangle-free brush. So you're not going to run into where you have pet hair stuck, where you have to clean it off. It's going to take care of itself. So that's one really nice feature. You'll also notice that you do have these rubberized wheels, which are going to be great for navigating floors or even carpet. Contact points for charging, as you can see there, and then here you have like a little navigation wheel that just helps the robot get around. If we flip it over here, you'll notice some sensors in the back, and as we move it all the way to the front, this is where you're going to find that camera, right? So the camera's pretty cool, and you can see that there's some stuff going on right now. That camera is going to give you the ability to see what's going on with your pet. Almost works like a sentry too, right? Because you can have it check out and see what's going on, and because it has night vision, if you hear something going on, you literally don't have to go downstairs to check it out or go into your living room, wherever you have them, because you'll be able to run the robot and see what it sees. Now, in addition to having the camera that we mentioned, it does have sensors that are going to be able to identify people. It's going to identify pets. It's supposed to even identify objects, pet accidents as well. So I actually have set up here in my living room a pretty interesting obstacle course. I have weights because, like many of us, we're working out from home. I have cables that you're going to see in a couple seconds. I have some gloves on the floor because it's kind of snowy in Chicago and cold. And then I have some pet treats that are very common to be found anywhere in the house because of the dogs. So let's go ahead and start it up and see how the app works. Now, as I mentioned, as part of this test, there's going to be a lot of obstacles, as well as my dogs are going to be walking around, and they'll probably come up to Ollie, and we'll see how the Ollie robot responds. The other thing I wanted to highlight is that we did update to the latest firmware, as you can see right here. So this is the latest firmware that's being installed. So the actual test itself is using the latest and the greatest, so we'll be able to see how it works. The company, I do notice, does regular updates, very frequent updates, more frequent than some that I've noticed, which is also great. The first thing we're going to do is go into the app so we can start our cleaning process right after we did the upgrade. And you'll notice that there's some good information here. First of all, you get a layout of your home. I've run this before through the house as I've been doing some tests. And it's going to give you information about your cleaning time. Remember, it has a great cleaning time, so it's going to be able to cover some long distance. It also has the ability you can start the video. And I just wanted to show you, if I choose start video, and we'll see what it sees.
Video surveillance is on.
And you notice it said video surveillance is on. And on camera, or in this case on my phone, I'm going to be able to see what it sees. So, and not only that, but I can actually hear myself speaking from the robot. So the cool thing about this is that if you are working, let's say remote, let's say not at home, and you want to keep an eye on your pet, and you want to be able to speak to your pet's going to hear you from the robot. It's a little delayed right now, so I'm just going to speak and then stay quiet. Yeah, I don't know if that's going to come through because it's not super loud, but you can, there's some adjustments that you can do. The point is that you can watch your pet, you can speak to your pet. This is also going to work with non-pets like humans, so kids, spouse, significant other, whatever it may be. Now, another thing that you could do with this is you can see it has a really good shot of our obstacle course and things that I have laid out on the floor. You can actually have like a night vision mode. You can record things, as you saw there. You could also then, and we'll go into night mode just for a second. It's going to switch, and now it's in night mode. Now, it's still bright, but in night mode, as I've been testing this, it does a really, really nice job. When we get to a darker spot in my living room, we'll go ahead and turn that on again. You can make this screen much larger if that's something that you like as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to stop the video, right?
Video surveillance is off.
And you'll notice it says video surveillance is off. And we're going to start the clean cycle. And what we'll do is we'll listen for a couple things. One of the things that's important for me is to have a quiet device, something that's not terribly loud, and then also something that is not crashing into things. I like robots that, I would say, hug the walls, not bang into the walls. I like robots that are not bulldozers, that like plow through things, right? So I want them to work around things. So we'll see how this works. There we go. It's relatively quiet. So the first thing it's doing is it's repositioning its location, making sure it knows where the base is. And I am to the left of the robot, so I may be an obstacle. But then you'll notice I have two gloves just on the floor. Because the one thing I don't want to do, and I know many of you don't want to have to clean around your robot, right? So we're going to see if it's going to plow through the gloves or if it's going to notice the glove there and then avoid it. And so far, it noticed it. That's good. Let's see if it works well. Oh, notice it again. Notice the other one. Crashed into the wall. Let's see if that was just a fluke. All right, it's figuring out where it's at. And as it's doing it, it's also updating the map. So that was pretty good. It actually moved around, so we'll go ahead and pan this way so we can see where the robot's going. And now it's going to start working through the house. And what I'm looking for is no bumps. That was good. All right. I know I'm being picky, but I like, with the way the technology is right now, it really shouldn't be banging into walls with all the sensors and the tech that's available. I have some cords there that are purposely out. I want to see if it's going to get tangled in them or if it's going to recognize them and try to avoid them. That's pretty good too. And it's not banging into the wall. Let's go ahead and pull back a little bit so we can give it some more room. And once again, as we're doing this, the mapping software is taking a map of the home. And I also have some other obstacles over here. So I have on the floor foot massager, and then I also have a projector on the floor, and I have some cables there just to see how it's going to act with that. So we're going to go ahead and follow it and see what is it doing. And again, we're really looking not to see it crash into things. Okay, so it looks like it's figured out its position. And so far it's doing really well. But we have another test course coming up just in a second. All right. It's avoiding my glove. Pretty good. So far it's getting a passing grade, right? It just had that one bump earlier, and that was it. Let's see. Does it bump or does it stop? Perfect. This is what you want. keep in mind that these have some, I would say, scratch-free bumpers. It's not going to damage anything by bumping into things. I'm just being probably a little bit more difficult than most when it comes to what I expect from a robot. I don't really want it to be banging into things if it has all these sensors, right? Now the next thing we have in our obstacle course are some weights. Let's face it, we work out in our homes, most of us do, especially if you work out or work from home. So what we're going to do is see is how will the robot do as it encounters the weights. Is it going to bang into it, or is it going to work its way around it? We'll see. And it's coming up to the weights. Notice how it stopped, didn't bang into it. Let's see if it works its way around it. So far pretty good. It's going to come back. We'll see if it's not banging into my fireplace, which is also really good. And we'll see what it's going to do now. Coming up. Does it stop? Yes, it did. All right, passing grade. All right, so we placed the robot in an area that it has to negotiate my torture test. And you'll notice that while it's been able to avoid some of the large items, the weights, the gloves, it is not doing super well with the wires, and it's actually getting stuck. So that's one thing to be mindful of. And keep in mind that there are a lot of wires there, as you can see. So that's something that looks like it's having a problem with. We're going to see, what it does. And frankly, I'm going to see if it damages the power cords. That way I can let you know. If it causes no damage, then we're solid. But we can see that it had a problem as it was approaching it, not stopping, and it's just now, it looks like it's a little stuck. It did avoid the cup. We're going to see if it'll avoid the cup. And I may have to go in and rescue it. So, that is something. Now, the other thing, as we're watching the robot try to recover, I wanted to bring the map back up. So, we'll go ahead and bring the map back in a second. And then I just wanted to show you that the mapping software actually adjusted itself, and there it goes. And it cleaned up the mapping itself. I was concerned a little bit that it was going to stay a little bit jaggedy, but you can see that this is now a really, really clean map. It was able to get out, and what we'll do is next is we'll just check the cabling to see if there was any damage. Okay, so I took a closer look at the actual cabling. No issues with the cabling, no damage at all. It did run into it. It did kind of almost pop or ride right on top of it. And then I thought for a second that it would perhaps get tangled. Here it comes back again. I want to see if it... And it doesn't seem to do well with cables. So some of the larger objects, that's fine. So what this basically means that if you do pick up this robot, chargers, charging cables, you'll want to make sure that you have those picked up. Now notice how it's really mindful of the glass. This is important. You don't know how many times we've been sitting down watching some TV, we've put, oops, it's touching it, let's see. All right, check. It passed by, it was doing so well. So it passed by, but it hasn't knocked anything over, which is important. And I've seen a lot of robots just like plow into things and knock things. And it looks like, there, now it saw it, and now it's going to avoid it, but it still tapped it slightly. So you can see some of the things that it does well from an avoidance perspective, and then the things that it doesn't do so well. Now, for those of you who are still curious on, just the overall experience that you get, or what is what the robot sees. This is what the robot is seeing right now as it's going through the floor, which is a little bit more interesting than the initial shot. There's the glass stop, moves around. Isn't that cool? And it is now kind of making its way, trying to see what it can see and what can it clean. Very cool that it has, again, that ability to actually see. Oh, you can see what it's doing. Much more interesting than the shot that we had earlier. So guys, that wraps up our review of the Ollie Robot Vac. See you in the next video.